So guys, wireless CarPlay and Android Auto is an almost standard thing to find in a modern day car, a brand new vehicle. But not everyone's got a brand new Mercedes, BMW or Range Rover. But Kenwood have got you covered if you're looking for wireless CarPlay and Android Auto on a budget. The new DMX6523 is here. Let's take a look. So this is Kenwood's brand new doubled-in stereo, the DMX6523 DABS. This has just recently come out, and this is their most affordable, budget-friendly wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto stereo that they have on the market today. Price-wise, we'll talk about later, but first of all, we're going to get into the text and specs of the physical unit itself, what comes inside the box, and then we'll also take it downstairs and install it into a vehicle and show you how it actually works. But first of all, text and specs. The unit itself is a doubled-in chassis. It's a 6.8-inch across display. It's a capacitive screen, so like what you would have on a modern mobile phone, very touch responsive. It's a WS-VGA screen as well, which is pretty high quality for a very small screen like this. It's nice and bright, and you've also got an anti-fingerprint touchscreen setup on here as well. Along the side here, as you could probably see, you've got your touch control buttons. So you've got home button, menu, voice command and volume up and down. And then at the very top, you have the built-in microphone. Now this unit does not come with the microphone that you'd normally run in up to your headlining or something like that. It's actually built into the face of the unit. You can opt for a secondary microphone or an external one if you want to purchase that separately, but it just means installation's nice and easy. You've got no wires to run, other than if you're fitting a DAB aerial, for instance. Nice and easy, plug and play. Now, looking at the side of the unit, as you can see, it's a very, very shallow chassis doubled in, but it's not actually a doubled in chassis, weirdly. It's a singled in bottom half. The top half, there's nothing there. It's empty. So it's actually just a bottomed in shallow chassis unit. You can actually take this cage off if you need a little bit more room, but it's kind of there just to help you in terms of if you're using like a side bracket system or the actual cage that comes with the stereo, it locks into place a bit nicer. Now on the back of the stereo, you've got all your connections. So starting off at this end, you've got your DAB aerial connection. So it's the little gold pin just there. So this little blue connection here is for your subwoofer output. So it's a mono output. You can then split that out to 2 RCAs. And this has 2 other pre-outs. So 3 in total, front, rear, and subwoofer. And these are 2.5 volt RCA pre-outs. So you also have a camera input and a video output. So the camera input would be used for a reversing camera if you're going to add one of those. And then a video output would be if you're going to add a secondary screen into the vehicle and you want to display what's on this screen on a secondary screen using a video RCA, you can do that. Next to that, here you have your heatsink. This is just to keep the unit nice and cool. Obviously it's sitting inside a dash, so it needs a way of cooling itself. So the air runs through there, keeps it nice and cool. This white pin here, if you're in UK or Europe, you're probably not going to need this as an info plug. And then, as I said earlier, you can opt for an external microphone. That's where that would plug into. It's like a 2.5mm jack. And then lastly, you've got your multi-pin power and speaker connection. So that comes in the box. We'll show you accessories in a second, but then that terminates to an ISO connection. And then lastly, you've got some fly wires. So this is your USB-A connection. So it's a fast charging USB-A on an extension that will be run around to your glove box or center console, wherever you want to put that. This here is a GPS antenna connection. So again, with the accessories, you'll get a GPS antenna that plugs into here. Then it has a little screw that goes into the top to stop it from being pulled out when you're installing it. But that's so that you can use the wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto without having to have anything connected. So you have some sort of GPS connection. And then lastly, you've got this little tube here. That is your AM and FM aerial connection. So other specs wise, as I've said at the beginning, this is a wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto stereo. So no need to plug the phone in. Obviously you can if you want to, but it is wireless completely. So you just connect your phone via Bluetooth and then the CarPlay or Android Auto will connect. It does also offer screen mirroring through iPhones and Androids. You can use their mirror app that you can find in the paperwork that comes inside the box. You can use that to mirror your phone, so you can go on YouTube, Netflix, whatever you want, obviously not whilst you're driving. It has an internal 4x50 watt amplifier, so it's good enough to run all factory speakers. Even if it's an aftermarket system, you can run this without having to amplify the speakers. It's going to be a bit of a boost of power from your factory stereo, and also has plenty of audio spec in terms of adjustments. You have a 13-band EQ, crossover points, time alignment, and all of those kind of things that we'll go through later in the video. Now, let's quickly go over what comes in the box, all the accessories you get, and then we'll take you downstairs and get this fitted up. Okay, so we have the contents of the box open in front of us, so let's go through them quickly. Now, not separate in the box, but actually on the stereo, you'll have this cage. Now, this is just the standard Kenwood cage that comes with it. You may want to use this in your install. It very much depends on your vehicle and what fascia you're using. Now, also bear in mind that you may need a specific vehicle fitting kit for this. These are supplied by a company called ACV, and they will come with a fascia, harness, aerial adapter, and patch lead, and any other accessories you may need. Next, you have this trim ring. So that's designed for this cage. So when the cage is used, you can then use this trim ring. That finishes it all off and sits around the edge of the stereo like so. Makes it all look nice and uniform. Next, these three pieces here are for the GPS antenna. So this is a backing plate for the GPS to stick to. This is the sticky pad for the GPS that sits on there, and that sticks onto there. And then you have this, I think it's like a micro USB connection with a little screw there. That goes onto that connection which I showed you earlier. Screw it in, and that locks it into place, and there's no real chance of it coming undone when you're pushing the stereo in. Next, you have these, which are removal keys for this cage again. These just push into the side, either side of the stereo, and that will disengage it from the cage, and you can take the stereo out. And then in this bag, you have your main loom, you have a parking brake wire extension, and all of your leaflets and instruction manuals. So if you ever get stuck, it's all in here. Now, in regards to the harness, I have a spare one here so I can show you in more detail. So this is your multi-pin connection that goes on the back of the stereo, and then that terminates on the end to an ISO. This is a universal plug for Japanese branded stereos, Kenwood, Pioneer, JVC, whatever you need, that will go to ISO. It's all the same. Now, if you're using a harness for your vehicle, you should have that connection on there. Or if your vehicle's slightly older, it may just plug in. So that is your harness. And that's it. That's what you get in the box. So let's take this downstairs, fit it into a vehicle, and show you what it's all about. Okay, so we are in the car, stereo's all installed. Let's get into it, but first things first, it's the most satisfying bit. We're gonna peel off that screen protector. Ooh, nice. Turn on our ignition. So as you can see, down the side here, you've got the white illuminated controls. These are the touch buttons. You've got the Kenwood logo, there's your boot up screen. There we go. So we've got the warning screen. Because this is a multimedia screen, it will come up every time you turn it on. You can click on the automatic remove message after 10 seconds, and like it just did, it will remove that message. And then it's automatically jumped into radio. So we'll start at the home screen. So this is your main home screen. It will show you the date and time, background, and then what source you're on. You can change this background in the settings, but just to go over the home screen quickly, you've got your main kind of sources that you'd use every day. So you've got DAB radio, CarPlay, Android Auto, and telephone. And then if you click in here, you've got your other sources. So mirroring, radio, Bluetooth audio, USB, device list, and standby. And then you've got the same list as before at the bottom. So if we jump into radio, we've not got an aerial connected at the moment, so it's just going to play some fuzz, so I'll turn that down for a moment. So when you're in the home screen of the radio, you can then tap on here and that will auto seek to the next available channel. Once you've found a channel, you can then open up over here and you've got FM 1, 2, 3, and scroll down, you've got loads of presets that you can set. So once you've found a station that you like, press and hold on one of those presets, and then you've got preset 01. You can also then open that up and it will show you what station that's preset as. Next, you've got DAB. Now, DAB radio is very similar to FM. I'm sure you've probably used it before. So it's going to scan, it's going to try and find the available stations. Now, we are inside the workshop. There's lots of LED lights and stuff which does interfere with DAB. So we're probably not likely to get many stations, but we'll see what it scans through. Okay, so it's loaded in our DAB stations. So what you can do then is, rather than skipping through everyone to try and find the station that you want, you can then tap on the search icon, and then you can actually scroll through and find the station, or you can even do an A to Z, and you can just type in, let's say we want capital, for instance, CA, and then you go X on here, and you've got all the capital stations, and then let's say we want capital extra, and then you can go back, that'll be loaded in, and then you can again save that, press and hold as a preset, and then again you open it up, so it says capital extra there. So whilst I'm scrolling through it, screen responsiveness seems very good, to be honest. Very typical of a capacitive touchscreen. It's not like a push to touch, it is literally just a touchscreen, and it's a case of you just tap on what you need to, give it a second to load it in, and it does what it needs to. Yeah, it's pretty responsive, and definitely the quality of the screen looks very, very nice. I know they've improved on their last models with this WS VGA screen. They used to just use a WVGA. I believe this has a few more pixels available, so brightness and quality of the screen seems pretty good. Now, whilst we're on the home screen, I can talk to you about what these buttons do on the left-hand side. So you may have seen that I've been pressing this button here. That's your main home button. So if you're like deep inside a menu or something like that, you haven't got to go back. You can just tap home, and you're all the way back to the home screen. This icon here is a quick menu button. So it will bring up like quick access menus, so stuff like screen adjustment, turn the display off, go into the camera, go into settings and stuff like that. Again, that's so you don't have to go into a menu, into a sub menu and all that kind of stuff to find what you need to. If you, for instance, quickly want to go into audio settings, it's as quick as that. Next is voice. So if you're connected for CarPlay or Android Auto, you tap on that, that will activate Siri or Google, whatever you're using for hands-free, and then you can use that for your navigation, say, take me to London or something like that, and then that will guide you using your navigation apps. And then lastly, pretty self-explanatory, volume up and down. So whilst we're talking about the audio settings, we'll go in and show you those quickly, because you do have a decent amount of audio set up with this stereo. So when you're in the audio menu, so you've got speaker crossover adjustments, EQ, position, time alignment, fader and balance, volume offset and sound effects. So if we jump into crossovers, so what that does is basically sets stuff like high pass and low pass filters, determining what speakers play what essentially. So you can put your car type in there depending on what you're running. So this is like a small hatchback, so you put compact, what speaker sizes are in there and where the location of that speaker is, and then the size of your tweeters. And then you can then jump into crossover, and then that'll determine your front, and I can set like a high pass filter at let's say 80 Hertz with a 12 dB per octave slope. And you can set a gain, so if you want your rears to be a little bit quieter or your tweeters to be a little bit less harsh, you can adjust that. Same with the rears. And then subwoofer is essentially low pass filter, so it's the opposite of a high pass. It'll play everything from what you set it to down. So that's the crossover points. EQ, pretty standard Kenwood 13 band EQ, nice amount of adjustment. So you've got everything from 62.5 Hertz all the way up to 16K. And you can do kind of a very quick sweep if you want just a normal waveform, or you can individually turn up and down each band as you need to, and you can even adjust it using the arrows at the top. And you can also go into preset select. You've got all the standard presets that it comes with, like pop, easy, top 40, rock, all of that kind of stuff. But you can then also set your own one. So if you click on user one, that'll initially go to flat. And then let's say, like for this car, because it's got standard speakers, I'm just going to boost all of this all the way up. And then maybe a little bit of a kick, turn that up a little bit. Turn that one up a tad. And then what you can do is you tap on memory, select user one, and then let's say you change it, for instance, I don't know, someone's messed around with it. Preset select, user one, and it's back to how you set it. I'll quickly whiz through the last few bits here, but this is position and time alignment. So you can set a manual position for where you're sat in the vehicle. I normally set it on all, but you can have like front right bias or front left bias, depending on how you like the sound to come through. And you can also adjust that for actual time alignment. So you can measure how far away your speakers are, set that in there. And you can also change the actual level of those speakers as well. Fader and balance, pretty self-explanatory. Fade to the front, fade to the back, balance left and right. Volume offset, now this allows you to change the actual volume that's produced depending on the source. So for FM radio, for instance, it tends to be quite a lot quieter than if you're playing through your phone. So you can just turn FM radio up like 3 dB and maybe turn Bluetooth audio down or anything like that. So you can go through there and adjust as you need to. And lastly, you've got sound effects. So you've got bass boost, loudness, and built-in amp. So bass boost obviously boosts bass, is pretty self-explanatory. Loudness will boost volume at lower volumes, if you know what I mean. If you're below, say 20 on the volume level, that will boost the amount of output. And also built-in amp, if you're running an external amplifier, you can turn off the amplifier that's in the head unit just to keep the stereo running cool. It's not kind of producing power at both ends, so you can actually turn that off if you need to. But we're not running an amp, so we're going to keep that on. And that's it for audio settings. So it's quite a lot there. So now what we're going to do is show you how to connect your phone for CarPlay and Android Auto. So we'll start with an Android phone. I've got an Android phone here. So what we'll do first of all is we'll go into our Bluetooth settings on our phone. Scroll all the way to the bottom to available devices. Now you can see it's already come up. Now if it doesn't come up straight away, what I like to do is if you go into Source, Bluetooth Audio, and press this little cog at the bottom here. Now it says devices, so we've got nothing paired. So if you hit that search icon, what that does is the stereo will search for your phone, as well as your phone searching for your stereo. Just makes quick work of the pairing process. So it's found my phone already. I'm going to click on there. So we've got a prompt here. Pairing request, yes please, pair, and then yes on the screen. New Android Auto device available. Start Android Auto now, yes please. There we go. That's a pretty quick setup, especially jumping into Android Auto. That's one of the quicker ones I've seen, to be honest, so quite happy with that. So this is the main screen of the Android Auto. It's similar across the board. There's not going to be any changes on Android Auto. It's exactly the same, so you can have all of your available apps, so your navigation apps, your music apps, stuff like that you can use, so Google Maps. So you've also got your music app, so I've got Spotify playing in the background. You can go into all your playlists and stuff like that. You don't have to just manually search through all of your saved music. You can actually go into different playlists as well. And like I said, you can also use hands-free, Google or Siri, by pressing either this icon here for speech or voice command. So take me to London.
All right, London. By the way, if you want to listen to the news while you drive, just say, hey Google, play the news.
Thanks. But yeah, that's going to now navigate me to London. It's going to take me an hour and 25 minutes to get there. So that's that. Okay, so to pair up an iPhone, very similar process. Jump into the device list, hit that search icon, go into the Bluetooth settings on your phone, scroll to the very bottom. Let's see, it's come up straight away. CAS iPhone, tap on there. Bluetooth pairing request, yes please. Allow the contact sync. It should give us a prompt in a second for Apple CarPlay. There we go. Connect to CarPlay, connect. There we go. Apple CarPlay. So same process. You've got all of your sources available. Google Maps, Waze, Spotify, whatever you need to use. It's all there, ready to go. Okay, so that was the overview of the brand new DMX6523 DABS. Pretty impressed with it, to be honest, especially at this price point. Now, this is listed on our website at $329.99. That makes this the cheapest wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto stereo that Kenwood currently do. So for what it is, absolutely fantastic. I can't really fault it, to be honest. Really nice bright screen, nice and touch responsive. Wireless CarPlay and Android Auto works seamlessly. Decent amount of audio spec. Obviously, you're not going to get the absolute best. Obviously, these are only 2.5 volt pre-outs, and you've not got the full amount of audio adjustment that you may do from like a bigger unit that's a bit more expensive. But for this price, you can't really go wrong. So I definitely think this is a good shout for someone that's looking to get into CarPlay without having to spend an arm and a leg doing it. And installation, very easy. That shallow chassis makes life a lot easier. Obviously, the fact that it hasn't got physical buttons is something that I quite like. This car hasn't got any steering wheel controls, so having touch buttons maybe something that can be a little bit cumbersome because you don't necessarily know where you are whilst you're trying to drive and keep your eyes on the road. So bear that in mind, but other than that, very happy with the unit. So check it out. We'll have these in stock ready to go, so grab one now. Now, if you are trying to fit this into your vehicle, you may need a specific fitting kit. Now, I did mention earlier, we do offer kits supplied by a brand called ACV. Now, these are professional fitting kits available for many, many different vehicles, which include all the accessories you may need to fit this particular head unit and many others into your vehicle. So I hope you've liked this video. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.